We got a tier list to go over with you guys, and we're going to be starting off with the babies. We're going to be doing tier list for babies, classic form, and the super form. So let's roll with the baby tier list. That sounds very wrong. Anyway, all right. So let's kick things off. We're going to be starting off with the common units. So for this, I think... Oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? I think we want to go... Where is he? Where is he? Trader in the D tier as a baby. I don't think Trader really gives you that much value. He gives you 1 gem per 15 coins. Not really worth it. Don't think Trader is that great of a baby mini or baby unit. Just because, again, only 1 gem per form. Nothing really special there. Moving on over to the chicken. Chicken is in the... I'm going to go top of D tier, bottom C tier. Like, movement is super important when it comes to squad busters, right? So having the ability to get that 1 boot that you can get, Chicken is super helpful with that, but I don't think Chicken is like insanely worth it, right? Like, I think there are better units, especially in the later game, in the later stage of the game, that you want to be getting towards if you have a baby Chicken. There are better units that you can go with. Baby Goblin, I'm going to put him below the Chicken. I think the Goblin in its baby form is kind of just useless. It gives 3 coins, not really much, doesn't really do much value for you. You can probably just kind of skip on the Goblin. Greg, on the other hand, I'm going to put Greg in the C tier. I think Greg is, in terms of baby forms, is one of the better farmers or suppliers that you can get. He chops down trees, which gives you a lot of loot. So I think that's a really good indicator that Greg can help you kind of get some more resources, and it's just over time. Whereas the Goblin, right, it spawns in, gives you 3 coins. Greg can just continuously chop trees for you. Same thing with Mavis. We're going to go with Mavis in the C tier above Greg. And the reason I'm going above Greg is because Mavis will help you pick carrot patches. And what that does is essentially 4, 6, or 8. That's the grouping of the carrot patches. And Mavis is also a ranged attacker. She throws carrots, dealing 125 damage, which is a very powerful carrot. So I think Mavis better than Greg if you're comparing their baby forms. So I'd say Mavis over Greg. Next, who else do we have in the commons that we are missing here? Okay, Bo. I'm going to put Bo as a B tier. Bo helps you damage. He does 100% extra damage to monsters. I think that is a super, super crucial ability to have. Bo is not amazing, but he's not terrible. So I'm putting him in the top of the B tier for that reason alone, because he's very, very solid. So pretty good option to pick. Shelly is going to be going in the A tier. Shelly has a super shell that she gets for busting 5 foes. At least I think it's 5 foes. Yes, bust 5 foes. So bust 5 foes to get her super. Very good for Shelly. She's got some good damage. She's got a decent amount of health. So I put her in the bottom of the A tier. Above Shelly, I'm going to be putting Colt. I think Colt does do a little bit more damage than Shelly. Shelly has that 200 damage and 1300 health. Colt has 200 damage, but he's going to be able to attack quicker and also dish out a little bit more damage. So I think Colt is a slightly better option than Shelly. He's also got a much longer range. He is more consistent to attack because his bullets are single fire, whereas Shelly's is like a widespread. So you're more likely to get consistent damage with Colt than you would versus Shelly. If you're going to be very close range combat, like if you're not going to try to go for poke damage, then you can go for Shelly, and in that situation, Shelly's better than Colt. But in most scenarios, Colt is the better option than Shelly. So that's just kind of my opinion there. And then we have the Barbarian. I'm putting the Barbarian in the A tier. I think Barbarian is very, very solid. All-arounder, got good damage, got good health. Can't go wrong with him. El Primo, I'm going to be putting the very bottom of the A tier. I think Primo, with the 2800 health, is a very solid tank to have, especially as a common unit. So that's really important. And then the Heavy, we're putting the Heavy in the A tier above the Barbarian, even in its baby form. I think that is phenomenal. He's got 2300 damage. He's got a good 2300 health. He's got 200 damage. When he stands still, he's going to ramp up his attack speed. Super, super solid. Definitely a good if you have Heavy in the baby form. He, like, even against some other classics, like, I think Heavy is just one of those units that is very, very solid. So that's it for the commons. Let's move on to the rares. Boy Dynamite is unfortunately going in the D tier, and I'm even putting him below the Chicken as a baby. I think the Chicken provides more value than Dynamite. My Dynamite doesn't have a lot of health. It throws one stick of Dynamite that deals 80 damage. Not worth it. GG, go next for Dynamite. Who else do we have that's mediocre? Wizard is pretty mediocre as a baby. He just gives a random spell, okay? Wizard in his later forms, we'll talk about that in future videos, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on those tier lists. But Wizard as a baby form, not a fan of. He just gives that random spell. It's not worth it, in my opinion. Next up, we have the Medic. Medic, I'm going to be putting in the B tier. I do not mind the Medic. He's going to be one that just gives you passive heals. So he'll just heal the squad slowly over time. That's it. That's all you got to do. Just heals. He's passive heals, small heals. So Medic is good to have. Pam in her baby form, I want to put above the Medic. Not quite that much difference. The only major difference with Pam is that when you bring Pam in, she drops the healing station right after you open a chest, as long as she's in your squad. So, and it's not while unlocking Pam. So if you have Pam in your squad and you open a chest and get any other unit, you will be able to have Pam drop her healing station. So in her baby form, comparatively to other healers, I think Pam is pretty solid. She's a very solid option, especially if you need that health boost right away. You just got out of a fight, your units are weak. Drop Pam, get that healing station, and help out your squad. Let's see, B. I want to put B in the top of the B tier. B lets you take control of hives around the map, and it has 2 bees that swarm around you, and they do a pretty decent amount of damage. Good for Chip. So B is a very solid option. I think she is a pretty decent range attacker, and that ability to get the rares is very solid for B, so we'll put her at the top of the B tier. We also have the Hog Rider. Hog Rider, I'm just putting above El Primo because the boost through the grass, that's his baby ability. Getting that boost through the grass is super important because grass does tend to slow you down if you don't have Hog Rider, but instead Hog Rider gives your squad the boost to go over fast over grass. So that is super important, especially when you're trying to maneuver and escape. It allows another layer of complexity into the game. So I think Hog Rider goes in that A tier because it's super helpful in terms of escaping matches. Nita, we're putting in the A tier behind the Heavy, in my opinion. Getting that bear, Nita's base ability in her baby form is she spawns in a bear to help you fight, protect your squad. I think that ability is super valuable because the bear will follow you around and essentially become an extra unit in your squad, which is really helpful because people who don't quite know how to maneuver and work around the mechanics of the game just yet, having Nita in there as another target for your opponent to get distracted by, super important. So we're putting Nita in the top of the A tier. We're putting Tank above B. The Tank does a good amount of damage. I'm putting Tank at the back. No, I'm gonna put her above El Primo. So Tank, she takes control of the tanks over the map. Pretty solid in her baby form. Not a bad option at all. In terms of, by the time you get her, you'll probably have some classic units. She might not be the best option for those. Like if you have B classic versus a Tank baby, I'd probably lean more towards the B classic form instead of the, but if you don't have B in the classic form and you have Tank unlocked, then go ahead and get that Tank. She does a good amount of damage. She's got a decent amount of HP. So Tank is a very, very safe option. And then we have, who else? We have Penny. Penny, in my opinion, is top of the A tier. So as a baby too. So let me hear me out on this one. Penny has the highest DPS in the game. She's got 230 damage. She's got a decent amount of health. She currently sits at 1100 health, which is not bad for a range attacker. And she gives you a treasure map that lets you find different amounts of loot all around the map. So she's a supplier, the best damage dealer, and has a decent amount of HP, and is a range attacker. So I think Penny is top of the A tier, no doubt about it. Now we're moving to the epics. I think Royale King, worse than the Chicken. Yes, I said it. He spawns in Royal Recruits. The Royal Recruits don't really do much, and they just kind of wander off on their own, do their own thing. Don't think Royale King is very worth it. You can pass up on him. Battle Healer is an interesting one. Battle Healer boosts the health of the squad by 400. That's pretty much all she's good for when you're opening chests. So I'm going to put Battle Healer at the top of the C tier because I don't think she's that impactful. Mortis, we're putting my boy Mortis at the top of the B tier. Mortis is a decent character. He's got 175 damage. He's got 1700 HP, so he's pretty tanky, but he can only revive 3 units, and the units that he revives don't really do much. They are distractors, yes, so that's why he benefits, but I think there are better options in terms of the epic category. If Mortis is your only option, then you could probably pick him, and he's probably a very safe pick. But I think you'll get more value from getting multiple Nitas than multiple Mortises in terms of spawning units. So that's just my take on Mortis. But Mortis is not at all a bad option. I just think as a baby, he's kind of like middle of the pack, especially when it comes to comparing the epics to each other. You'd much rather other epics. Max is going in the A tier. And I think I want to put Max above the Barbarian, but not above Nita, Heavy, or Penny. So Max, when Max spawns in her baby form, she activates a squad speed boost, which will help him move faster. And then once that boost runs out, it cools down, and then you have to rebuild that squad boost over time, and then you can go in and activate the squad boost again. This will help you move quicker. So super valuable for Max. Max paired with Hog Rider is a fantastic play, because then not only can you escape through quicker, but you can do it through grass as well when you're paired with the Hog Rider. So Max, a very solid option, and does a decent amount of damage, 200 damage, 1100 HP, so a little bit on the squishy side. Max is a very good option. Witch is going to be going in the A tier right next to Max, and almost tied with Nita. I would say tied with Nita, not behind Nita, but tied with Nita. The Witch in her baby form spawns in skeletons. Now, the reason she's tied with Nita, not above Nita, is it because of the fact that the Witch only spawns in 2 skeletons for her base ability, so she's not really able to get a ton of swarm value as a baby, but having those skeletons and being able to get 10, 12, 14 skeletons at once, very, very solid and very underrated to have those skeletons being able to distract your opponent. So I'm putting Witch in the A tier for that reason. And then in the S tier, I think you guys kind of guessed it, we have the Archer Queen and the Barbarian King. I think this really depends on what the squad is you're building, or if you have them available. Archer Queen's going to be able to buff the attack speed of Rangers, and Barbarian King is going to be able to buff the attack speed of melee units. So depending on which squad you're building, that's what it's going to be. Barbarian King also has the most health in the game at 3200. So when we're talking about Barbarian King and Archer Queen, I think either is a very, very solid option, and you don't really have to worry too much about which one you're going to pick. So that is going to do it for the baby tier list. If you guys are excited for the classic one, let me know down in the comment section below. And also, do you agree with this tier list? Is there anything I missed in terms of these characters in their baby forms? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.